What's up, Scoops? For the last few days, we've been talking a lot about BAU influences, and one of its biggest ones, which would be Criminal Minds and all of its different episodes, and the correlations that can be made between that and real-life serial killers. Today I want to talk more about movies and how some BAU investigations have influenced them, specifically the investigation of Ed Gein. Ed Gein is the younger brother of two children of Augusta Gein, who was completely insane. If you want to know how insane, then you should know that Ed Gein was actually the basis for the movie Psycho. So she was that kind of crazy. She was completely religious, and she would read from the Bible to her two boys, talking about death and sexual perversion and ways that God will send like a lightning bolt down to smite you if you ever look at a woman for any possible reason. And she also taught her boys that all women except for her were basically instruments of the devil. They lived on a farm, and they were not permitted to leave that farm except to attend school. And at school they were supposed to study hard, not make any friends, and if she thought they were even starting to make friends, then they got beaten severely, and never ever look at girls. Ed's older brother Henry kind of rejected his mother's constant teachings about how evil the world was, and was worried about Ed because he connected so much with his mom, and he kind of kept telling him, no, she's wrong, she's wrong, she's wrong, and he reacted with like surprise and hurt to that, and kind of pulled back from his brother. The reason why a lot of people say that he was so attached was because of his love map. If you've never heard of that, there's an episode of Criminal Minds that you can go to that explains the concept of a love map really well. Basically what a love map is that between birth and about 5 or 6, we, through the influences around us, we build who it is that you will fall in love with forever. Whether that's men or women, certain type of men or women, or in some cases it becomes perverted, as it did in Ed Gein's case, because he had no outside influences. It became his mother, who he was in love with and wanted to be with forever. That can't happen because it was his mom, and had he even made like a step towards that, she probably would have beaten the snot out of him. So he just kind of loved her from afar. His mother died in 1945 after a series of strokes, and Ed dealt with that by boarding off all of the rest of the house that was like her house, and basically made the rest of the house a shrine while he lived in one small part of the house with the kitchen. It was at this point that he began to think about a sex change, and seeing as it was 1945, there was really nothing he could do about having a surgery. His way of dealing with the fact that he wanted a sex change was to go to graveyards and dig up middle-aged women who reminded him of his mother. And seeing as he'd always been really good with hunting and turning the animal skins into leather, he did that with the women that he found, and made bodysuits and masks so that he could then look like a woman even if he really wasn't one. He dug up 9 different grave sites to achieve that goal, but that only worked for a certain number of years. He wasn't getting the charge that he needed anymore. He shot one woman who reminded him of his mom, but that wasn't actually found out for 3 years, and it wasn't until 1957 when a hardware store owner went missing that anyone thought it might be him, because he'd come in the day before and said, I have to come in tomorrow and buy some antifreeze. And they looked at the receipt, and the very last receipt she had written had been for antifreeze. So they're like, oh, it might be him. So they stop over to his house, and they look in the shed, and she's already there, and she's already dead. So they arrest him, they start looking through the rest of his house, and they find that 1, he's been making these bodysuits, and 2, they also found that he was using the leather to like furnish his house. Like he was making like armchairs with real arms. The little thing at the bottom they actually like pull the blinds up and down would be like a real life nose or like an ear or something. And he had these types of things all over his house as this kind of like extended shrine to his mother. So then later on in 1957 they finally went to trial, and he pled not guilty by reason of insanity. They sat him down with psychiatrists, and they found out, yep, this guy sure is actually crazy. So then he went to a mental institution. 11 years after entering the institution, they found that he was officially sane enough to stand trial. They put him on trial for the hardware store owner's murder, and he was found guilty, but seeing as he had already been found insane, he just went back to the asylum until the day he died of heart and respiratory failure due to the fact that he had cancer in 1984. I will illustrate over here the several different films and musicals that have been based on Ed Gein. Of course, there's Psycho, like I mentioned before. There's also Leatherface, and the fact that he was wearing the skins of people that he'd killed. And there's also Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, who also made little trophies and things out of the people that he killed. Link in the doobly-doo if you want to learn more about him. There's also a link in there for the episode where Reed explains a love map and how someone could become fixated on a family member. I'm sorry I was speaking so fast about this video. 1, my battery is just about to die, and 2, this video was so incredibly late, and I'm so sorry. So I'm trying to get this video out to you super fast, so I'm sorry if you didn't understand anything. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, favorite, and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.